Hey, what's happening, gamers? It's K-Wing here, and Halloween month is coming to a close, but we've got a supernova of a game to go out on. Legacy of Darkness for the N64 to date is still one of my favorite 3D Castlevania games ever made. Lords of Shadow wasn't too bad, but the only thing it has in common with Castlevania is the name. Anyway, getting back to Legacy of Darkness. After the horrible Castlevania 64 game, graced our presence, with terrible glitched and poor camera and gameplay controls, Konami fixed and improved all the bugs within 8 months and released this unknown rare gem of a game, Legacy of Darkness, on the N64. Now this is a very long episode and almost 30 minutes long, so it's best for you to grab a snack and get comfortable. With that in mind, let us begin. Hey gamers, it's K-Wing here. Today I'm bringing you a Halloween treat in review form. Castlevania Legacy of Darkness. Sadly, this is an overlooked gem of a game, but it's by far the best 3D Castlevania game ever made. Welcome to my 85th review. This is Castlevania Legacy of Darkness for the Nintendo 64. Legacy of Darkness takes place 8 years before Reinhard Schneider and Carrie Fernandez risk their lives battling against the devil. Now the truth that has been shrouded in the gloom of darkness shall be revealed. At the beginning of Legacy of Darkness, we saw this girl running through the forest, either being chased by this werewolf or some type of demon. Later in Dracula's castle, we see this dark ceremony that Death is doing. Now Death is awaiting to administer the eternal sleep to the Virgin on top of the altar of darkness. With this gruesome sacrifice, the Lord of Darkness will rise again. Dracula, having been forced into a deep sleep during his last encounter with the Belmonts, has devised a devious plot this time. The world shall once again tremble at the mere mention of the name Dracula. A plague of darkness covers the land as Dracula orders his troops to attack in his wake. The Count's army of darkness raids village after village in search of the final piece to the puzzle to restore Dracula. After the man-beast known as Blue Crescent Moon returns to his village, his homecoming is far from pleasant. Filled with rage, Cornell annihilates the army of darkness and races through the village, screaming his sister's name. He easily takes care of the skeletons Bruce Lee style. Once he has dispatched all of the army of darkness, he continues to call out his sister's name and races towards his house. Once he gets there, he sees that it is engulfed in flames and no one is left alive. On the ground, Cornell notices the pendant that he gave his sister, and he smells her blood and begins to search. It would seem that the whole point of the Castlevania series is to travel through the castle and rescue the girl, in most cases. Now in Legacy of Darkness, Cornell is searching for his sister, whom he thinks is Dracula's next victim. But playing through the game, you realize that both Dracula and Death have a much more sinister plan in the works for Cornell and his sister. Now Cornell does end up rescuing his sister and then has to defeat Dracula, like every Belmont or hero character before him. After beating Cornell's game, you get to play as the young man Cornell saved, Henry. Now Henry is a knight of the church sent to rescue the captured children in 7 days. Then once you beat Henry's game, you can play the entire game of Castlevania 64, which is pretty cool if you ask me. Plus there's some new added levels too, and alternate costumes. Reinhard Schneider is the traditional vampire slayer who is the Belmont descendant, and he is the strongest character in the game. So playing the game as him, you get that nostalgia factor. Now, playing as Carrie Fernandez, on the other hand, it's much more challenging, which adds to the replay value too. Carrie uses magic and is the weakest character of the four, but has good ranged attacks. Still, I only recommend her for a challenging experience. Players will also notice that most of the bugs from Castlevania 64 have been fixed, and this adds to the gameplay so much more when it's not all glitchy. Camera control is great and gives you complete control. You use the command cross to do so. C-up switches the camera modes for action and attacking, the R button is your targeting, and the B button is your strong attack. You move Cornell with the joystick and pick up items by tapping C-right. Secondary attack is C-left, and Castlevania has always had its share of platforming elements that you will need to jump a lot. To jump, press A. Since Cornell is a lichen, he can transform by hitting the L button. As a werewolf, everything about Cornell is stronger and faster. This is actually one of the coolest parts of the game. Being a werewolf does eat up hearts, but in this game they're crystals. Still, I think it would be better if you didn't use any hearts at all, like in the beta version. All characters can use throwing weapons. That is done by hitting C down. Reinhardt uses his whip by pressing the B button, and he also has a short sword for hacking and slashing. Carrie is a long-range fighter and uses magic. By holding in the B button, you will charge her magic powers. Also, every character can slide by running and hitting the Z button. And that wraps it up. Since Legacy of Darkness is more of a director's cut and Reinhardt and Carrie are unlockable, I'll mainly be talking about Cornell stages if you don't mind. In the opening of the game, Cornell is on a ferry waiting to board the ship of Lost Souls. The ship itself has a lot of great attention to detail, and it's a pretty big stage to explore. Once leaving the ship, you fight a giant sea monster, then off to the Forest of Silence through a thunderstorm where trees are being struck by lightning. The villa reminds me of Resident Evil, and the outer wall is a brand new stage, as is the art tower, which is massive. There are also scenes straight out of Super Castlevania and Dracula X2. Tower of Ruins is another new addition. Some of my favorite stages are the Tower of Science and the Dual Tower, but my all-time favorite is the Tower of Execution. This stage is very well designed and insane too. The Tower of Sorcery has a whole ice domain, and of course the Clock Tower returns, but the Tower of Execution is the best designed. Well, for starters, much of the loved music from the Castlevania series does not appear in this game, which is a real shame too. Still, the music they used, it did work for this game, and it really did add to the tense, creepy horror game vibe that it's supposed to give out. Still, I think it would have been nice to hear, I don't know, maybe the Belmont theme or Bloody Tears, heck, even Vampire Killer would have been nice. Now, I'm not complaining, I love the music in this game, but it only works for this game. Sound effects wise, it's great, especially the environments in the Tower of Execution. All those death traps going off is enough to make anybody a little jumpy, myself included. Gotta love that about this stage though, it's just so much going on and it really adds the whole creepy vibe, and the sound effects really add to this game a lot. The first time I played Castlevania 64 is when I rented it from Hollywood Video during my junior year. The first thing I remember is when I was walking in the Forest of Silence and all of a sudden, boom, the tree explodes from the lightning. Now, I don't know about you, but I jumped out of my seat when that happened. It scared me because I wasn't expecting it, and then the second tree just caught on fire. In Legacy, only one tree gets hit, unlike two in Castlevania 64. Plus, you're already expecting the tree to burst into flames, so you're not really scared by it. Also, later on in the game, it's one of the first times that I ever saw a vampire character trying to kill themselves. Now, Rose is conflicted about being a vampire, and she doesn't want to live anymore, so she tries to kill herself by stepping into sunlight. Now, to tell you the truth, I was surprised that this scene stayed in the game in North America, because Nintendo America left that scene in, but most of the time they always censored stuff. Especially in the NES and SNES days, all the censoring, anything offensive, or anything Christian related has always been removed from video games. Especially the fact that Reinhardt says the word God, and it wasn't censored or in lower cases. That's pretty awesome. On January 24th, 1999 is when Castlevania 64 first hit store shelves. Then in March it came to Japan, and May it came to the UK. Now Castlevania 64 was the first in the series to really jump to 3D. It also had a very detailed plot, and very similar to Symphony of the Night. The game also had overlapping story with two main endings. The game starred two characters of Belmont and Beldez's descendants. A child was the focus of the whole game, and the child was actually the Lord of Darkness in disguise himself. Now this was a huge plot twist and a major change to the Castlevania canon. Dracula was reborn as another character, and this concept would be reused in Aria of Sorrow. This also gave the series a much darker and sinister tone. Sadly, this game was removed from the official timeline. Castlevania Apocalypse, as it's called in Japan, was originally called Dracula 3D. The game was to star Reinhardt and 3 other characters. The day-to-night system would be similar to Simon's Quest, where during the day you were safe and at night you were dead. The game was also going to be very big that it would have to use the 64 disk drive. The vampire killer was going to have a more detailed use like in Super Castlevania, but some of those actions did appear in whip form in Lament of Innocence. The game was going to be massive and take place all over Wallachia and be open-ended. Reinhardt would be able to use the whip to swing across platforms and travel places other characters couldn't. Each character would have their own super moves. Sadly, only Cornell would make use of this by turning into a werewolf. The creature was going to be a playable character and appear to act like Ash Williams from Evil Dead series. Most importantly, Reinhardt Snyder's last name was originally Belmont. You heard me correctly, he was called Belmont until the game was delayed due to high sales of Ocarina of Time. For some reason, Konami decided to abandon the Belmont name entirely. Out of the 4 original characters, 3 made it into Legacy of Darkness, although Cornell's appearance change and his ability to become a werewolf. Legacy of Darkness arrived 10 months after the first N64 game, and the game starred Cornell and brought back most of the beta stages from Dracula 3D. It also added a new character from Cornell's story, Henry. It should also be noted that both Henry and Frankenstein have the chainsaw and gun in the same hand as the dropped 4th character. Still, I think they should have kept Frankenstein as a hero and Henry too. Then there would have been 5 heroes. Today I'm going to guide you gamers through the dreaded Garden Maze. Everyone who has played this game hates this part of the game the most, and I agree with them. However, there is a trick to beating this without losing your mind. First and foremost, make sure you're leveled up to the max so you can use the Flame Whip, and have at least 3 of either the Axe or Holy Water. Okay, next you want to attack the dogs as often as possible. Most of the time you'll have to kill them at least twice before fighting Frankie. When fighting him, aim for his head. If you're low on health, he drops chicken, but if you stay around him too long, you're asking for a rematch sooner than you wanted. Malice tends to run much faster than you, so if you don't know where you're going to go, you might end up panicking. So once you calm down, there's a trick to following Malice. I do understand that it's hard not to get lost in this game, so just listen to these directions very closely, and I'm not going to be able to show them because this actual trick takes a good 10 minutes to run through the maze. After opening the first door, go right, straight, past the arch, then right 3 times, and you pass the arch. Then go left twice, and finally right. You should be in this area now, and be ready to fight the garden dogs. After the cutscene plays and the worst is over and done with, you've beat that part. Sorry, I'm not too good with the whole commentary thing. This cutscene here, I wouldn't say it's pointless, but you walk out the door, Malice looks back at you kind of mocking like. You open the door for him because obviously he can't open the door for himself. But at least this trick works with Cornell and Henry, so you don't have to go through the whole thing all over again without being, oh man, what am I supposed to do now? When playing as Cornell, especially the Ortega fight, you want to go wolf power. Even if you're only throwing blue energy scythe things, the damage you take from him is real bad in your human form. The thing that you really have to watch out for when fighting Ortega is he likes to fly around a lot and stomp on the ground, so if you just keep running around in a circle and keep shooting him, you'll be pretty much okay. And actually, once he flies up into the air and starts shooting these circled rings at you, jump through the rings and don't touch them, and you won't really get any damage from them at all. And then just basically run around him and shoot him again until he's dead. It's a pretty easy boss fight if you follow directions, but if you get too close to him, you're going to get nailed. The trick with this part of the clock tower is to slide down at this point exactly. If you do it wrong, then you're going to fall to your death. I know, you're probably wondering, why are you telling us about this certain part of the stage? Well, believe it or not, a lot of people end up dying here and then they don't play the game. Finally, for the star room, the correct order is 2, 4, and 8. To avoid fighting the demon salesman, don't purchase more than $300,000 worth of stuff. Even if you do fight him, you will get the good ending, so don't worry about that. To avoid getting the bad ending, don't use more than 4 of either the sun or the moon cards. If you do, you'll fight Vincent Vampire and get the bad ending. Unless, of course, you want the bad ending, because Vincent Vampire is a pretty cool boss fight. But you didn't hear that from me. Dracula's final form is pretty easy if you remember these important elements. Number 1, do not let those nuke balls hit you. Number 2, do not get hit by the flame dragons. Number 3, make sure you have saved the medical kits for this fight only. They really help take the sting out of those killer hits that he can give you. Number 4, run around in a circle and only hit Dracula with either ranged weapons or the flame whip. But don't get too close. If you do, he's going to turn you into chop suey. And that pretty much does it. If you stick to this formula, then you're going to win. If you guys need any more help, then please drop by the K-Wing forum site and check out Gaming 101. That's all I pretty much have to say on the subject. Nobody can swim at all. Still! I think they purposely added the poison in the water so they didn't have to worry about animating somebody swimming. That's just lazy in my book. As much fun as the clock tower is, the jumping is a little broken in this part of the stage, especially when you're trying to get from point A to point B using platforming. You always seem to fall to your death, or you overcompensate for how far you have to jump, and you fall every single time. I just don't... It really tugged at everything I was. This is the only part of the game that I could think of that it was just horrendous. And I died, I counted 8 times alone here. I mean, okay, this was a little mistake here, but most of the time, it's all the jumping. You overshoot the platform every single time. Or you slide off the gears and fall to your death. I mean, come on! It's only this point here. Okay, there we go, grinder. And I turned into the werewolf for what reason? To die, that's why. It just, nothing, I overshoot it again. I mean, come on! What is wrong with it? It's just ridiculous. And on top of that, once you do get past that, everybody remembers in Castlevania 64, where on the castle center, you have to get this bomb, and you basically strap it to yourself, and nobody can touch you, you can't jump at all. So then you're at this one point where you're stuck between these gears, and you're almost to the point where you have to blow up the wall so you can fight the bull, and you think that you made it past the gears, you're home free, and then all of a sudden, you just hit it, and then boom, it's over. I lost it so many times, and that's why you don't see me in any other outfits other than that. Also, buying from demons is never a good idea, so try to stay away from it. Werewolf powers activate. Yeah, baby. Playing this game with the ability to turn into a werewolf gives the game a very good reputation in my book. Not only is Cornell a character you don't want to mess with in the first place, but he can transform into a werewolf too. It's like if Bruce Lee could turn into a beast after mopping the floor with your face. Now that's awesome. I'm sorry, but I just can't get enough of the Tower of Execution. You have blood pouring into the lava, you have death traps all around you, it's just one messed up level. The fact that this game gives you 4 characters to play, each with their own story, is great. Plus, all the characters are diverse except maybe Henry. Other than in that one part of the clock tower, the controls are great. Cornell takes all the best stages from Castlevania 64 and then gives us an all-new boss battle against Dracula, which is insane. I mean, just look at Drac's final form. How is that not epic? Cornell has to beat that thing? Now that is hardcore Ultimate Dracula, unlike that cockroach thing that Reinhardt and Carrie fight. Plus, it's just insane what he can do. He throws all this crap at you: worms, lightning, snow, ice, fire, brimstone, you name it. He has the power to use it. I mean, that is just crazy. Plus, the entire Castlevania 64 quest is unlocked after beating Cornell and Henry's quest. Now that is pretty awesome, to say the least. How many games do you know of where you can play 2 separate games in one cartridge? Especially when this game was released. Sure, they had to remove the voice acting from the second quest, but it's still cool to have the game just itself. I mean, that would give the game high replay value anyway. You may also notice that I haven't been saying concept, design, all that other stuff. I'm trying something a bit different where the words just say it, because I don't think I have any point saying that anymore, so we're just gonna go to the next segment. Konami did a great job of ironing out most of the wrinkles from the first game. Although, to be honest, Castlevania 64 should never have been released until it was 100% done. Even Legacy of Darkness isn't completely done, but after 10 months, the game could have been a lot better. Sadly, Legacy of Darkness is underappreciated and very overlooked. Still, that being said, this is the best of the 3D Castlevania games ever made. And yes, I'm talking about Lamont and Curse of Darkness. While they may have better graphics, their camera work and gameplay, especially the platforming, was horrendous. Not only was the game not fun, but it was just annoying. Legacy of Darkness was a fun game because it did a great job of bringing Castlevania into the 3D realm. Still, I think it would be best for the next 3D Castlevania game that they polish up the camera and gameplay from Legacy and then add up the visuals to today's standards and keep the regular Castlevania music. They do this and we're looking at a great 3D game. However, they go the route of Curse of Darkness, then people are going to be an outcry for Castlevania to stay 2D. It would be nice if next October Konami and Nintendo made this game release on the Wii Virtual Console and not Castlevania 64. It's time people learn to like this game. To wrap up, Legacy of Darkness is the best of the 3D series because of high replay value due to 4 characters, alternate costumes, great story, awesome boss fights, and unique music. I am more than happy to give this game what it deserves, which is a much higher score than all the other people have been giving it for so many years. My final score does not come from a fanboy's point of view. It doesn't even come from my view as a Castlevania fan. If you look at everything that this game had to offer and what the beta was and everything else, you can see that they tried to get this game as much as the original as possible. So that being said, I give this game a 9 out of 10. It's my favorite 3D Castlevania game. I wish they did more with it, but I mean, hopefully they'll put it back in the canon and they'll continue the series. Well, that definitely does it for me. This has been a crowning achievement for me. Not only is it the 85th review, but it is also the longest review that I've ever put together that took a very, very long time. So I hope you've all enjoyed it. As you can see, the next Castlevania review I'm doing is Judgment, and that will be a week after November 18th. So this is K-Wing saying God bless and happy gaming. Thank you so much for watching, and keep glued to Got Game for more reviews and more stuff K-Wing. Again, have a safe Halloween.
I'm a Belmont. That's my job.